Okay, I'm done at this point. This is the 8th time I'm making this stupid video. Oh, okay. 2PG. Hey, if you know what this is, great. If you don't know, skip this video. Nobody loves you. Anyways, back to it. 2PG in an easy-go marathon. This one's an 83. See? Easy-goes are famous for oil injection going bad and destroying the whole engine. You know, the jug commits for big sad, the piston commits for big sad, rod bearing commits for big sad, everything. Well, you can replace crank bearings, you can replace the jug, you can replace the piston, but you can't replace the rod or the big end bearing. This has been the killing factor for a handful of 2PGs. It really sucks because these are great engines, these are great carts, and it's sad to see, and every time a 2PG dies, I die a little bit inside. Same with many other golf cart fans. Well, I, Leon Willis, have come up with a solution. After extensive research, I have found out the Polaris Trail Boss connecting rod and rod bearing are the same and will fit. Because what Robin did was they sold a 250cc single-cylinder two-stroke to Polaris for Polaris to put into their Polaris Trailblazer, Polaris Trail Boss, and there's a third thing, I don't remember it. Anyways, Polaris put that engine in 3 vehicles and then mass-produced those 3 vehicles. So, there's a huge cult following around it, obviously, because Polaris and Polaris people are weird. We don't talk about that. So, people love them and we store them. And they needed connecting rods. So, like, a handful of different companies popped up and started producing connecting rods. Of course, same thing with everything. There's cheap ones and expensive ones. So if you're making a high performance 2PG, like I am, you can buy like a $300 connecting rod from like Hot Rods or somebody, or you can buy the $60 Chinesium knockoff rod off Scamazon. Well, I'm cheap, so that's what I'm gonna be doing this summer for an experiment. But that's the only thing you can get out of the Polaris Airboss and Trailblazer engines. Don't think you can steal the jug off them or the head and make a bunch of power. You can't. And don't think, oh, I broke my jug, my block, I'll buy one off of Trailboss. They're completely different, people. Completely different. And also, just find a local welding shop. They'll be able to weld it up because mine's broke. And I had a company called Hanks here in town weld it up for me. This is pot metal. So, yeah, you have to find a special person to do it. Same with jug. Jug completely different on the Trail Boss. The bolt holes on the bottom are spread out a little bit, so it will not directly just bolt up. Top will, bottom will not. You'll have to do some modifying. Head obviously won't fit because it has to be flat. Trail Boss and Blazer have fins that jut out, so obviously you can't bolt it up flush. Front cover, completely different because they ran a completely different ignition system. They ran AC on the Polaris, this one's DC. So the tape on front of crankshaft is different for a different flywheel. Same with the back end, they used a different, more heavy-duty clutch. So they have a different taper. But, hey, we don't care about that. We just care about the rods. And indeed, they're the same. Because the crank uses the same architecture. 2 rod bearings on the back, 1 in the front. They're shaped identical. The counterweights So there is hope on keeping these old 2PGs alive. If I can find a connecting rod, I'll post it in the description, a link to it. But it will be a cheap one, just so you know. Okay, talked enough about the 2PG.